exploring the vast worlds of He-Man and She-Ra. Join Sean Scavarna and Matthew Duke as they discuss the history and mystery of Eternia and Etheria, diving deep into all incarnations of Masters of the Universe.
Hey, you know who's back? It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Now that you know, let's go. Get ready for the show. It's the Legends of Grayskull podcast. Sit back and enjoy the ride. Right now.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are on episode 3 of L.O.G on TOYS. We are going to take a look at the 2002 He-Man, or not He-Man, just the Masters of the Universe toy line.
I could see how it's confusing considering how many He-Mans there are, but
Right.
Yeah.
And it's kind of interesting, like, back in the day, why, the toy line was Master Universe. That was out, a couple years before the Filmation cartoon came along. And then Filmation, obviously snuck He-Man's name into the title with He-Man and the Masters of the Universe.
Right.
I've always found it interesting that in every iteration since then, like, you still go Masters of the Universe for the toy line and then He-Man for the cartoon.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think the toy line should just reflect the He-Man and I think that's synonymous for me. But what's your opinion, Curtis? I know it's kind of a weird segue to start with, but
I remember when I was a kid. I mean, the commercials would go He-Man, He-Man,
Yep.
And so yeah, there were He-Man figures. Like, it wasn't
right.
Masters of the Universe figures. Like, that wasn't something that we said back then. But the whole the whole mythos of Masters of the Universe has grown so big with so many characters that now I just consider it Masters of the Universe. But as a kid, I definitely would have just considered them He-Man toys. So
for sure. So today we are going to take a look at some more He-Man's toys, as my dad would say. Again, we are going over the 2002 line. You may have seen our previous episodes so far. We had episode 1, we went over waves 1 and 2. Then episode 2, we went over the creatures, vehicles, and playset from those waves. And today we're going to take a look at the wave 3 action figures. I know Curtis cannot wait to jump back in. Before we get there, Curtis, you had an interesting statistic that we unearthed during a previous episode. Do you want to recap where we were with He-Man and Skeletor variants?
We finished with 12 different ways to purchase either He-Man or Skeletor.
So 12. So what did you write down? Is it 6 and 6 or is it?
No, I believe it was more. I don't have the breakdown, but I think.
Okay.
I thought it was more He-Man, but
I think yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But
we'll have to look into that. I didn't think of that till just now. But so 12 total between the two characters.
Yes.
Okay.
That's with variants and all the different stuff. But yeah, through two waves in as of last month.
Yep.
So yeah, 2 waves in, 12 different ways to purchase He-Man or Skeletor. So.
So we are going to take a look at wave 3 today. Now, as we discussed previously, Mattel liked to make sure, number one, they said right off the bat, we need a He-Man and a Skeletor in every wave. They've also set it up to where you have basic figures and deluxe figures that they're shooting for in every wave. So far, the deluxe figures. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say for those that are wondering, we're using this book here.
Yep.
The Toys of Masters of the Universe. It does list them in alphabetical order. I wanted to point that out because almost all the ones that you sent today are either S's or T's. So we don't have to flip too many pages.
Not as many.
Sorry.
Nope, you're good. So these figures were released. So these would have released in quarter 1 of 2003, according to my information. The basic figures retailed for $7.99, and the deluxe figures retailed for $14.99. I'm going to start with the deluxe figures today because I don't want to end on the deluxe figures today.
Okay.
So, but what I was going to say before that was, so thus far, our deluxe figures have been He-Man and Skeletor variants. So now we roll into 2000. So this is right Q1 2003, which means they should have been hitting toy aisles probably even a little bit earlier. So we're looking at the Christmas kind of season of 2002 when these are first show up. So, of course, for those of you who have followed L.O.G on MYP, our deluxe figures are the Samurai subline. So we're going to start off with a look at Samurai He-Man. So he came with his helmet, his chest missile, his battle rocket, his samurai sword, his rocket launcher, and his samurai war boots. Now, for those of you who remember, like when we were doing the episode Mystery of Anwar, we did watch the commercial for these because this was such a popular subline that they got their own commercial. And so the chest plate had kind of a rock'em sock'em thing where, like, when you hit the figure, like the chest plate would like burst off.
Yeah. I don't know, man. These don't do much for me. First of all, you're calling these like samurai, and
Right.
I don't know any samurais that use stilts. That seems like that would make it very difficult to fight as a samurai to have stilts. In addition, like, you just take the stilts off, and still the armor is not what I would call super samurai-ish. Like,
it's not good.
It's way more tech than anything. You got the oversized pauldrons, the oversized helmet, like yeah.
And the fact that they chose, so this is a newly sculpted figure. Like, it's not just a He-Man with these additional bits. Like, they've done new sculpting, but then they choose to make the helmet a removable helmet, which sounds like a cool feature, except for the fact that it like doesn't fit on his head at all. Like, you can see his hair sticking out, where it's like, if you just sculpted that helmet and head, you would have had a cleaner look. It's got like weird shoulder guns going on there, like on his pauldrons. And then, of course, the giant rocket launcher with the flame missile that all samurai were known to engage with. It's just not a great look.
When I think of samurais, right, I think to a period that's before like gunpowder, like before, before guns, and definitely before lasers, and definitely before robotic exoskeletons. Like if you're going to do samurai, do samurai. If you're going to do like robotic futuristic, do that. But like this mix of them together, it doesn't work for me. And yeah, I think the thing that upsets me more than anything is the whole stilt thing. It's just, to me, it's just super stupid.
Yeah.
But yeah, and even if you take those off, I just don't like the rest of the design either. So.
Yeah, because it show in the book you can see as well. It's got the turnaround picture is without the stilts, and even then the armor still doesn't look great. I will offer one retraction on something I said during the Mystery of Anwar episode, where I did criticize He-Man's armor in the animation, and kind of saying like I didn't like it in the toy, I didn't like it in the animation. I still don't really, but I will say after refreshing my mind with how the toy really looked, they did do a better job in Mike Young of translating it. It still doesn't look great, but it does look better than the toy did. So yeah, I will give Mike Young props there.
This looked ridiculous in the cartoon. It's worse in the toy. for
That's
sure.
what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
I had them on equal footing, but I'm going to give Mike Young the edge after refreshing just how bad this is, to the point that this is wave 3. So if I forgot to refresh everyone's mind, so wave 1, all the odd numbered waves were full waves of heroes and villains. The even numbered waves were only heroes. So this was only the second full wave that we got, and I did not buy any of these samurai figures. Like, this is early line. I want to prove that we want He-Man, and even I'm looking at these in toy shelves going like, I am not spending $15 on that. Like,
this is one where I would have loved to hear the conversation between Four Horsemen and Mattel. Like, how much of this is on the Four Horsemen and how much of this is they were just putting out what Mattel was asking them to do? Like did Mattel say, hey, we want a samurai tech, with giant legs, and like what did they tell them?
I don't believe the Horsemen were involved in these variants.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I know there's definitely a point where because the Horsemen didn't do didn't do the play sets, they didn't do the vehicles, and there is a point where they didn't, where all the variants were done in house as well. So and I'm pretty sure it started with these.
So after we got another figure that we're looking at later that's followed up with an interview by Jeremy Padower.
Yes.
Who apparently worked on the line.
Yes, he was the brand manager, if I recall correctly.
And he says, and one of the questions they were asking him about, how the toys were produced, and how were the Four Horsemen involved, he answers, the Four Horsemen did all of the figures for sure. So
I'm pretty sure he means the basic figures.
Well, he did say all of the figures, so I don't know.
Like I said, I believe they weren't involved with this. I know there's a point where they weren't involved with the variants. I cannot 100% say for sure.
He says, like a couple sentences later, he says, it was more of how many Skeletors and He-Man figures we could put out there with a collection of other characters.
Yeah.
Today, Mattel would probably do a much broader approach.
Yeah. I mean, and so
You think?
Yeah. Now we're up to 13.
Yeah.
Just with this figure. So
yeah.
Let's go ahead and
through not even fully through 3 waves. So
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were definitely, like I said, they wanted more heroes and villains. They wanted He-Man and Skeletors constantly on the pegs. Like, that was their mission.
And even if we go to what you said, which is kind of the guiding principle, is they want a He-Man and Skeletor in each wave. Okay. All right. Let's say we go with that, right? Through 3 waves, if we had 6 different ways to purchase He-Man and Skeletor, we had 3 of each,
right?
I wouldn't think that would be bad. But to be up to 13 and we're not even through the 3rd wave, like, that's a lot of just overkill on the same freaking characters.
Well, and that's kind of what I want to say too. Like, so we got the deluxe figures have been so far all He-Man and Skeletor. It's like, why not? Okay, you want the deluxe figures out there, but why can't they be a different character? Release Whiplash as a brute scale type figure. Release Beastman as nowadays, that's what they would do, right? They take these bigger guys and they'd release them as the deluxe, which they have been doing. We've seen it in Masterverse now, where the bigger figures are deluxe, or with more accessories or whatever. But here they were just like, yeah, we need deluxe figures every wave. Just do something with He-Man and Skeletor. Try and make it worth the price increase.
And remember, in the series, like, these suits are used for a total of about 10 minutes before the crystals are destroyed and they can never be used again.
Yes.
So, like, as a kid, like, what are you doing with this? Like, are you just reenacting that 10-minute period? And that, because, like, it's not something that existed before and it's not something that existed after. So yep. I don't know. It's an odd choice to put in the series. It's an even odder choice to make as a figure. So,
all right. So let's keep going here. because this conversation is going to continue for a while in the same vein. Surprise! Next up in the deluxe wave, we've got Samurai Skeletor. He also
14.
comes with his helmet, his chest missile, his samurai sword, his battle missile, his rocket launcher, and of course, his samurai war boots, as all the samurai had.
I will say this one if you take the stilts off, it looks better than the He-Man. It still doesn't look good. The fact that they've made the heads smaller, right, than what we've had in any other version of He-Man, whether you look at, the new stuff that we've got coming out, whether you look at classics, you look at vintage line, like these heads are significantly smaller proportionally than any other heads that we've gotten in any Masters line.
Right.
And then you throw on all this really huge armor,
yep.
like these huge pauldrons and huge waist piece and all this kind of stuff. It makes the head look even more small. It's super tiny. It looks really ridiculous.
It's the same problem, especially with Skeletor. Skeletor wears a hood, and they made a removable helmet to fit over a hood.
Yep.
Like, it looks utterly insane. If you're not on the YouTube, if you're listening audio, like, pick up the book, search up an image. Like, this looks stupid on his head here. There is no way to make this helmet look good.
Yeah, that should have been
a
sculpted head with the helmet. If they're going to do it, I would have said they should have not done it. But if they're going to do it, I think it should have been a sculpted head with the helmet.
And I don't mind that helmet. It actually looked pretty cool in the cartoon. Honestly, just looking at the helmet here, it's got a cool design. If that was actually had a Skeletor face sticking out of it instead of like oddly on his hood, like, and then on top of that, like, if you look at the pauldrons, especially if you look at the pictures where he's unarmored with the rest of it, what is going on there? Like, one is like twice, one just goes like and covers his shoulder, and then the other one like sticks out. Like, what are we doing with this asymmetrical garbage?
I don't know, man. I think that the overall look wouldn't have been bad if they would have shrunk the pauldrons by about half, if not more. Same thing with the waist piece, and then increase the size of the head slightly. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It would be better. But yeah, these are rough, man.
Yeah, and then, like, I don't know if you noticed, but like his rocket launcher, obviously it fires the missile, but then it's also like a clamp as well. So, like,
I don't know.
Yeah, so like you can clamp somebody and then shoot the guy behind him. I just don't know. Same action feature, the chest shoots out. Oh, and they do have a button on the back so that they can slash with that samurai sword, because that's going to be effective. Yeah, this one's like I want to like it. I like the color scheme with that kind of metallic purple and the red and everything.
Oh yeah, the colors are great.
Yeah, but like just over designed.
I see why you didn't want to end with these.
Right. So let's finish off now. But here's the interesting thing, though. So, like you said, we've got Mystery Van Watt-Gar. Introduce us to Cyclone, the Samurai armor. We see Samurai He-Man and Samurai Skeletor. And the episode also features Beastman and Man-at-Arms, who never get any upgrades. But this deluxe wave is different, where they release 3 figures in it. And the last one is Samurai Man-at-Arms,
who spent that entire episode basically nursing an injury.
Right. And
never once got upgraded armor. But yeah, here's another thing we didn't need.
So he's got the chest missile, he's got the battle rocket, he's got the samurai sword, he's got the rocket launcher, and of course his samurai war boots. And they put a pauldron a little pauldron on top of his oversized, redesigned pauldron.
Yeah, his pauldron needs a pauldron.
Yes.
So
Like,
freaking stupid. I don't know, man.
Here?
Needed to protect his pauldron with a pauldron. So
Oh,
the silliness is killing Dooch right now. So
it literally is. Like, the funny thing is you look at it and it's actually almost got like a Bashing Beetle vibe to it, where like with the color scheme, and even there's like that chest piece looks like it's kind of got like bug antenna or whatever. Like, it looks, if I were to have somehow wound up with this figure, I would have put this on the Bashing Beetle because it's got kind of that motif, but it's odd. Like, why you leave the big pauldron? Again, he's got a little helmet that fits on top of his regular. No, it's not even that. If you look at the side piece, it's literally just a piece that attaches to the front.
Attaches to the helmet. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah.
I mean, this one looks better without, the stilts, but still not great. Yeah, not great. So far, 0 for 3 for me. If I'm a kid and I'm in wave 3, I'm 0 for 3 on these. I don't need any of those.
Yes, like I said, like even me buying everything, I want this line to succeed. Like, I'm looking at these and I'm just like, no.
Yeah,
like,
these samurai ones will break you of being a completist real quick.
So quick. Yeah. They even try to, talk about the packaging right quick here. It's in that deluxe kind of blister card. It's got a little picture on the front above their name card that shows the chest armor popping off of them. A new samurai font. It's got a couple little dragons. Like, I think they really thought that this thing was going to take off. Like, this is going to be this whole subline. Next episode, we'll talk about the creatures that came out for it. Like, I really think that they thought this was going to be like, this is going to do it.
I will say, if you remember back to that episode, like, they were like bouncing all around that island, right?
Right.
If they had done something spring loaded with this, where like you could almost like the Ram Man feature, where you can kind of like push it down and then it'll like launch. Like, if they did something like that, there was some sort of action bounce to it. maybe I could see, okay, that could take off because kids might be interested in doing something like that.
Yeah.
But just as is, I don't know how they thought this was going to appeal to anybody.
Yep.
So.
And I did look, the Four Horsemen have a wonderful list on their sourcehorseman.com website, where they list all the for hire work that they've done.
Mm-hmm.
And the samurai figures are not listed on there. So yes, this was one of the in-house Mattel variants.
That makes me feel better, because I was like, I can't believe the Four Horsemen would do this.
No, I mean, even if they were mandated to have stilts, samurai look. I mean, you've seen their work that they've done on like Mandarin Spawn and stuff like that back in the day. Like, they, this is probably a concept that they should have given over to the Horsemen. Like, what can you do with this?
Yeah, I don't know, man.
All right, so those are our 3 deluxe figures.
Okay.
Now let's get into the regular wave. And of course, you can't have a regular wave without having what, Curtis?
Gotta have another He-Man and Skeletor.
You gotta have a He-Man. We've got Smash Blade He-Man.
Up to 15. We're at 15 He-Man and Skeletors.
So this He-Man, of course, came with his Sword of Power, his shield, no battle axe this time. Instead, he came with his Smash Blade weapon. So this is the basic He-Man figure from Wave 1, repainted with a blue, silver, and gold color scheme. And then the weapons are done, the Power Sword is done in a silver and gold. to match the Smash Blade weapon, and then the shield features a blue and gold motif. Other than the Smash Blade weapon, it is the exact same Wave 1 figure.
I just don't know. I mean, it's not bad looking, but after all the other He-Man that we've gotten, so far, especially ones that have looked just like this with a slightly different color, I don't know what they're thinking here, but yeah, it has the asterisk logo on it, but they only painted the portion of it to make it look like a cross. Do you see that?
Well, no, they still painted if you look close, the crossbar is painted red still, like the original figure. So they painted the X part of it
stand
blue.
out as much for sure.
Yeah, and then it's red on a gold background.
Gotcha.
Which makes perfect sense. But yes, it's like at this point, you still have He-Man
from the art on the back of the box.
Yeah, so the back of the box shows a lot of times it shows the prototype, which is literally just the regular He-Man figure with the Smash Blade accessory.
And it actually shows blue on the sword and blue on the Smash Blade thing.
Yep.
So yeah, I don't know why you wouldn't change that before you put these out. Like this is a couple now where the back of the artwork on the back of the packaging did not match the final product.
Oh yeah. And the thing is, it's like you literally at this time still have regular He-Man and Skeletor. You've got Jungle Attack He-Man out there, which, like I said a couple episodes ago, it was a silly variant, but at least that was a Horseman variant where they went all out and were like, let's make this a Rambo He-Man. Mm-hmm. This is literally just let's give him a new weapon and give him a color change.
It's showing the action feature more than anything else. Yeah.
And the weapon's not very exciting. It's flying fist, but smaller, and it fits on his wrist instead of in his hand. It spins when you flick it. Like there's not much there. So I do like that power sword though, more than if you're going to make a two-tone power sword, I think the gold works better than the green that we got.
I like the one in the picture on the box art. I like the
that looks even blue. Yeah, that looks even better. And obviously I picked up this. It was a $7.99 basic figure. Actually what I did with this, you got to. I'm supporting the line. It's $8, and I actually would put this guy. We'll get to the vehicle in a future episode, but we've discussed in the cartoon. I put him on the War Whale because I thought with that blue color scheme, kind of this is swimwear He-Man, water He-Man.
Okay.
So I bought it, but yeah, it's not great. And of course, this and the Skeletor we're about to talk to were incredibly overproduced. They really thought that everybody at this point was really going to want another He-Man and Skeletor, so they peg-wormed forever. Like for the rest of the line, you could get it. You could go to most of the major chains and find Smash Blade and Spin Blade. So let's jump right there. Spin Blade Skeletor. This is the exact same Skeletor as the Wave 1 release. New paint deco with a red and black motif. His Spin Blade weapon, which looks like a bat wing. Again, you flick it and it spins. And then he comes with his split sword accessory. I don't believe any paint difference in this one, though, for the swords.
Okay, now we're at what, 16 between this He-Man and Skeletor's. I don't think this is needed this early in the line. I will say this one is pretty cool looking. Like I like the color combo. And even that blade thing on his arm looks really cool compared to the one that He-Man had.
Yes.
This is one I would have picked up even if I already had Skeletor.
For sure. And it definitely gives me, even from the time it came out, I bought it. I look at this as like a Horde Apprentice Skeletor with that black and red horde color scheme. Still disappointed in the Subternia episode. Like, that weapon looks very Spallian to me. So, like, you know, it was kind of during that Underworld episode, I was kind of hoping that this thing would make an appearance and at least legitimize this figure a little bit. But
I think for me, the color scheme sells it more than anything.
For sure. No, it definitely does, but it's just like, but again, it's like, why at this point? Like, you don't need it. And we later found out actually that these were initially supposed to be released as a 2-pack with a packed-in comic, same as we saw for Toys R Us for Wave 1. There would have been a second MV Creations comic that explained the Spin Blade and the Smash Blade. And you can actually find that if you have that big DC omnibus that they put out a number of years back. Is it there? No, it's in the mini comic collection. It might be in the omnibus too. But if you go to the mini comic collection, that hardcover one from Dark Horse, it has the unreleased Smash Blade and Spin Blade comic. So for whatever reason, this was supposed to be like the Wave 3, like refresher of He-Man and Skeletor, Toys R Us 2-pack, but for whatever reason, Mattel decided to release them single and scrap the comic, and they just ended up just sitting on shelves. So just an overdemand. They're definitely not spoiler alert, they're not the worst variants in the line. Really, like I said, the big problem is Mattel just made way too many of them. So.
Yeah.
All right, so now finally, Wave 3, full wave. We're 5 figures in out of this, and we can finally get to a non-He-Man and Skeletor. And so we're going to take a look at Teela, the captain of the Royal Guard. Original 8-back, released nice and early here. That I now can't find. She comes with her shield, her staff of Ka, and a newly designed sword. Excuse me. She was obviously made to look a lot younger for this iteration. You can even see if you look at her card back, there's some differences there between that and the figure that's released.
Yeah.
Most notably being her right boot, which in the prototype was just a regular boot, but in the actual toy, it wound up with all these pouches on the outside of it. And the reason for that was because that action chip for Castle Grayskull could not fit in her foot as it was, so they had to sculpt that out. So she got that giant boot with all the pouches, which kind of became reused for all of the females in this line, even after the action chip was retired.
I love it. I mean, it's good to get a Teela, and it's not a bad figure. It looks pretty good. But once again, I would think before you go into production on this, that you would get the box art to look like the figure, because the box art on the back of the card looks way better than the figure in hand. It doesn't look as glossy. The paint apps on the face look a lot better. Obviously the boot looks better. The whole thing, the gold on it actually looks gold rather than like a yellowy plastic.
Yep.
If this is the figure you're going to get, and this is what you're selling to people, I would have updated the back of the card, because that back of the card looks way better.
Yeah, and you can even see like on her skirt, like there is a white skirt with those gold leaves over it, whereas the figure itself is it's a gold piece.
Well, if you look at like the back of the pictures on the bottom,
there was a little bit of that,
like white trunks under it, but
but not like that figure on the back of the card. Like that looks awesome.
Yeah,
But yeah,
the one on the back almost looks like a classics figure. It's very
yeah.
nice.
Well, it's really, I mean, it's the prototype. So that's Horseman
Hmm.
uninterrupted, and then the
Right,
figure is Horseman plus Mattel.
right.
I will say, at least for her, they did. She just has the power punch as her action feature. So same thing with He-Man. You pull him back, and she punches forward. So you don't have any unnecessary levers, buttons, anything like that, junking up the sculpt.
Now,
Uh,
all that being said, I do think this is a decent toy,
yeah,
and it's way better than the Filmation one or the vintage one.
for sure.
So yeah, this is definitely if all you knew at this point, if you because like we know classics and we know Masterverse and you knew Eternity and all this kind of stuff now, but if all you knew at the time was vintage or this is nice.
Yeah, so in this one, like you said, so it's got two weapons hands now. Like I said, up to that point, we're used to the vintage where she's got like that spell hand, whatever. Um, she's got multiple weapons. She's got the sheath on the back, so you can actually store the sword back there. And her weapons are nice updates of the vintage versions.
Mm.
That sword is an awesome inclusion. And this is one that took me forever to find.
Oh, I bet. She had to be under like in the case pack. She had to be less than the other figures for
If
sure.
if I recall correctly, it was actually, I want to say I'm just gonna say the ratio, but I
Mhm.
think there were two of He-Man to one Tila, one Orko.
That's
Like I
great.
think that's how crazily packed Smash and Spin Blade were. Um,
That's ridiculous.
and actually, the time I found her, this is how specific I mean, these were like my glory toy hunting days here.
Yeah.
At this point, we're talking early 2003. Like I'm senior year of high school. Like I've got a job, I've got a car, I've
Mhm.
got free time, even though I thought I was so freaking busy back then. I wasn't. Um I just had time to go look. And actually, I remember going to my local Walmart. I was there the night before. They didn't have anything new. For whatever reason, I was up the next morning. I had to go do something. And afterwards, I'm like, I'll just stop by the Walmart again and see, what's what. And
Mhm.
there she was, like all alone on the pegs. And I'm like, so either they stocked her overnight or she was found somewhere. But yeah, I'm just like, oh man, I'm glad I just listened to myself and stopped by, even though I was just here the night before.
Yeah. Most likely somebody put her in a different spot or something
Yeah.
and they found it and yeah.
And we used to do that for each other too, especially with the He-Man.org boards going. Like you knew the local guys through there, and you'd be like, "Hey, I found Mechaneck at Target over on Broadway, but I didn't need him, so I put him in the men's section behind like the
Yeah.
starter sweatshirts or whatever. If anybody wants to go get him,
The
like
starter sweatshirts.
whatever they
Really
were,
dating
like
yourself. Yeah.
yeah. Oh, but yeah, especially just now going through the samurai figures, going through, Smash and Spin Blade, like, and now we have Tila.
I mean,
It's
so far
like,
this is the best thing that
let's
we've looked
go.
at. So yeah.
All right, next up, we got our first new Evil Warrior for this wave, and that is Triclops.
He looks awesome.
Yep.
I
So
mean, just amazing.
he's got his battle stance ready. He comes with his sword. He's got his Doom Seeker and a stand for it. He's got his action feature is a button on the back that makes his sword hand swashbuckle. And he is notably sculpted to be left-handed, as
Mhm.
his right hand is up. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
this
I
is
love this figure.
I don't know that you could have asked for anything more with this. The fact that they included a Doom Seeker, the paint apps on there are great. The sword is a nice, it's a nod back to the vintage.
Yep.
The costume has a nice update to it, but still you can tell it's Triclops. Yeah, this thing's beautiful.
Yeah, it's perfect. And not obviously his visor does rotate to see the 3 different eyes. And it also has a light piping feature to where the eyes will light up when there's a light source above.
Oh, nice. I didn't know that.
Yep. So lots of fun.
I would have probably had to buy multiple of these just to have extra Doom Seekers.
That would have been cool for sure. And we'll get to it down the road, but that is one of the only reasons I bought the repaint was for more Doom Seekers. And the fact
I would think that would be something that you'd put out like a 3-pack of Doom Seekers or something, you know?
You'd think so. Just start dropping them in with random
Especially
figures.
if you've already paid for the tooling, you know, just throw out a 3-pack for $5 or something.
Well, and the other unusual thing at the time was the fact that the Doom Seeker came with a stand. Like, because, you know, it's easy for them to toss those things in and then you just have to put them on a shelf or whatever. But like, that was mind blowing in 2003 to be like, oh shoot, like I can actually like pose him like he's flying. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's a lot of fun. He was one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite vintage figures, and then this is just a great upgrade of him.
I think this might be my favorite figure that we've looked at so far.
Wow. High praise. I also like, I know some people don't love the dynamic stances that some of these figures in, but I think it really works with Triclops. Like, I don't feel like you're losing anything from him being in that like wide sword fighting stance. So,
yeah.
All right, let's move on to our final hero of the wave, and that is Orko. Orko comes with a magic wand, a magic cloud, and his orb that he fires out of the cloud. He's also got a magic cloud base, which allows him to float and looks like he's just leaving a trail of blue everywhere.
So this is one that when I found out about the 2000X line, obviously way late in the game, and I was into classics at that point. I bought this Orko to put in with my classics because I think this, to this day, I think this is the best Orko we've ever gotten. I love it. I love the effects with it. I love his design. You know, the fact that, you know, they had him in a floating stance and all that. Yeah, this thing's great.
Yeah, no, he's awesome. The way they elongated him, they made him look like a person, and like the fact that you can kind of see the outline of like knees under there, because you never really knew if Orko actually had legs or not. So this is a version that definitively proves like, no, he's got some anatomy down there. And honestly, that like the whole magic cloud orb thing, which is his action feature, is that you push a button and that orb flies out of the cloud and attacks. And it's they made it big and goofy to try and justify the small figure, but like it was a lot of fun to play with too, and just
it just
shoot
looks
at
cool.
things.
Like forget about the action, just looking at it, it just looks. It's a nice accessory piece to have like in your display.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So like they just did it just to take up space, but it actually turned out cool at that. Probably the only thing I would have preferred is I wish that he was on a clear base instead of that blue base. Like
I could see that.
But that's like my only criticism of this figure. Other than that, I'm like, this is the Orko that I wanted.
For sure. I love his wand too. The wand is nice.
Yep. And he's got, and even how just in this series they took the O on his chest and like made it into an amulet. Just things like that. Like this is why you hire the Horseman to do your toy line.
Yeah, this thing's amazing. Like I said, to this day, I think this is the best one we've gotten.
And this Orko did have a chase variant in the line. It wasn't actually with the Orko himself. It was it was with his base. But so the color of the orb and the cloud were reversed. So it was a red cloud with a blue orb. And then Orko would have a red base instead of a blue base.
Gotcha. But the figure was the same.
But the figure was the same on that one. Okay. Yep.
All right.
All right, then we've got our last evil warrior, and that is the mighty Trapjaw. So Trapjaw comes with his 3 attachments: claw, blaster, hook. He's got his belt, and he is ready for battle. Can't remember if he had an action feature off the top of my head. Besides, I mean, he can swap the parts.
Yeah, I love the huge arm with the big attachments and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think from the neck down, this thing looks amazing. I think the jaw is way too skinny. Like it doesn't look like Trapjaw. It doesn't have like that big monstrous jaw. It has like this little tiny thing. And then this is one that I think really suffers from the small head syndrome.
Yeah.
You know, when you're giving it this big giant mechanical arm and these broad shoulders and huge, you know, the wide stance and the bigger, you know, thicker legs and feet, and then you put that tiny head on it, it really, I think, suffers from that tiny head, especially when you look like the side view that they've got there, like looking at that the way that head sticks out and like the jaw is so skinny. If that jaw was you know, longer, or you know, it's went down a little bit further, and if the head was a little bit wider, I think this thing would have been fantastic.
Yeah, I can definitely see what you're saying. I think it just, yeah, he needs a thicker jaw, which we've seen a lot in more iterations where he's got that longer jaw. It is cool that it is still articulated. You can pop it open, and this is one. I mean, I love the figure. He looks great. I love the scars on him. Like he's more Frankenstein together than previous Trap Jaws. He always had, and you can even see in the pictures, especially that side view, he always had this weird like lean back that you had to do with the figure.
Yeah,
that's probably my one criticism. Something about the way the legs and the body came together, like
probably because of the big old arm too. Like
the arm a little bit too, but yeah, just to get that counterbalance, you always had to pose him like with like a lean back. So
yeah,
but yeah, he's a cool figure. This is one where even buddies of mine that knew of the series but weren't actually collecting, this is still a figure that almost everybody picked up.
Like I want to go buy
so
one
cool.
a loose one of these just to steal that arm and use in customs. that arm is really cool.
Oh, it's wonderfully sculpted, you know. And then you look at some of the stuff they're doing now with like Cosmic Legions, Canix Bowl, and everything. Like you can see the horsemanness in it. So yeah, another great figure. This is one arguably where I'd almost say that the actual figure came out better than the prototype. I like the darker greens as opposed to where the horsemen were going. It's more vintage, that neon green.
Yeah.
But I think the darker green suits this figure better.
Yeah.
So
I could see that. The jaw, I think, looks a little bit better on the card back. But as far as colors and even the way that the arm came out and the one pauldron, I think looks better on the actual figure as opposed to the box art.
Yeah, absolutely. Agree. Yep. Just had to throw Mattel that one bone there since we've been picking them apart on the other figures. Sure. All right. So that is Wave 3. So we got four He-Mans and Skeletors. We got one Man-at-Arms variant, and then we got 4 new figures.
Yep. And which was equal number of heroes and villains. I thought you said they were going to go back and forth on there.
Well, so even number waves are only heroes, and odd number waves are heroes and villains. So the villains will never catch up to the heroes.
Okay, gotcha.
So now wave 4 will be an only heroes wave.
So they never did an only villains wave. They did only heroes or heroes and villains. That's interesting.
That's what I'm saying. So, and that's what's frustrating because there's so many cool villains.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just so many cool characters.
Right.
But you're already starting to see this is especially for you, Curtis, who wasn't there at the time. You're already here with our frustrations. Like we're 3 waves in. We got twice as many heroes as villains. We've got half of our figures are He-Man and Skeletor.
More than half, I would say.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, we've got all these great villains still out there, you know.
Yep.
And we want the heroes too. Like, I still don't understand what their thought process was of the half wave thing. Like, we're only going to release half the figures in a wave.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get the lack of bad guys.
Yeah.
Either, because I mean, the Masters is filled with tons of bad guys. You know, there's a lot of, you know, like we already talked about Count Marzo, right?
Yep.
The awesome design of that in MYP. Why don't we have a Count Marzo? We just had the evil episode that we were talking about. Like, that would have been a cool one. You know, so yeah, I think there's plenty other characters they could have done rather than just keep pushing out the same characters over and over again. But
well, and especially once we get down the road, once the Snakemen show up, once the Horde starts making appearances, you've got those non-affiliated villains. It's like, as fans, we're sitting here at this time going like, man, are they going to get to anybody? I mean, this is wave 3. We're almost a year into this line, and you know, we really don't have anybody.
I mean, you know, I've heard it said, and I kind of agree with it, that what makes Masters cool is the villains. Like, that they've got this huge array of, you know, kind of this rogues gallery. So ignoring that for half of your waves is kind of silly.
Yeah, and just the fact that, like, if nothing else, like, it's the whole army building aspect, right? That's how it was when we were kids. Like, He-Man gets new allies, Skeletor gets new minions. Like, build your armies, and the only army we've got at this point is He-Mans and Skeletors. So, all right, Curtis, I gotta hear it. Who is your loser of this wave?
The loser is all the samurai stuff, but specifically, I would say He-Man is the worst.
Okay. Obviously, my loser, Samurai Subline, because if you add up those 3 figures, it equals about half a figure. So, but if I had to pick between the 3 of them, I would actually have. Oh God, this is harder than I thought. I really want to go Man at Arms, because Pauldron on a Pauldron. What are we doing here? Yeah, I'm going to go Man at Arms. Pauldron on a Pauldron. Like, hat on a hat. What are we doing here?
I hear what you're saying, but it still didn't look as bad as the He-Man one, in my opinion. But yeah, I got you.
They're all trash.
Yeah.
How about your winner of the wave?
I'm gonna say Triclops. Like, he looks really good. Even though that Orko is I mean, I think I like Triclops as a character more than Orko. So even though that figure is really good, I think the Triclops one, yeah, that wins out.
Yeah, I'll go Orko for mine. Just that great redesign, that taking a kid character and, for the toy at least, making him look like a serious threat, a fun accessory. Yeah, I love it. But really, you can't go wrong with any of the 4 original characters that are in this wave. Like, it's such a solid B squad to the variants. Like,
yeah, if you stayed away from the samurai stuff and you stayed away from the new He-Man and Skeletor, you just got these new ones, you're doing pretty good.
Right. Which would kind of become, again, an issue of the line moving forward, is those are the figures that everyone's searching for. They're also the figures that are short packed, because Mattel is insistent that kids only want He-Mans and Skeletors.
Oh, and I'm guessing that it's going to become, I mean, I wasn't there, but I'm guessing it's going to become an issue too, where the new stuff that's coming in, you don't have room to put it on the shelves because you've got this other stuff, these variants of He-Man and Skeletor just peg warming.
Well, that's the Smash Blade Spin Blade problem. Yeah. Now, like I said, these figures released in Wave 3, and I would be able to find them up until after the line ended at stores. Yeah. So, yeah, you're fighting that, where some stores aren't restocking, some stores aren't ordering. And and it happened early on. That's the biggest problem. So it'll be interesting as we continue down this road.
Well, we're at 16 right now. Through 3 waves.
Yeah, we gotta go back and we got to split that up too to see because the He-Mans have to outnumber the Skeletors by the end of this, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So, all right. Thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Give us those buttons down below, like, share, subscribe, do all that. Let us know who your winner and loser of the wave is. And prepare for next time. We'll be looking at the creatures and vehicles of Wave 3. All right, guys. Until next time, go play with some toys.
Oh, come on.